We are live.
Sounds like we're live. Okay, it's 9:03. We're going to open this meeting on this great Tuesday, May the 17th. We'll start by saying, is there any additions to the agenda?
There are no additions.
Okay. Would you just notify what we're doing in closed session?
Absolutely,
Council?
Chairman, thank you. For your closed session today is under Government Code Section 54957.6. You have conference with your labor negotiators. Your agency designated representatives are Joel Bugay, the Deputy CAO of Finance, and Ms. Carter from Human Resources. The employer organization is all units. There's also one existing litigation matter that your legal counsel is requesting a conference with you under Government Code Section 54956.9, subsection D1. And the name of that case is Keith Trout as the proposed guardian ad litem of minors versus the County of Madera, and the U.S. District Court case number is on the agenda. Thank you.
Okay, any public comment on the closed session items? Seeing none, we'll go into closed session. We can finger out here.
You got somebody to do the invocation for you?
We are ready.
He's here. You ready? Okay, I guess we're ready to start this great meeting on the 17th at 10:01 or 2, somewhere in that range. Thank you, everybody, for coming. And the first thing we're going to do is any reportable action out of closed session.
Chairman, there is no reportable action from your closed session.
Sounds like a winner. And we're going to open and close in memory of people that we think it's very important. So Brett's got the first one.
Thank you. So I think last or 2 days ago, my grandmother, Marion Herberger, passed away. I think we got a picture coming up here. There she is. And then the next one, no. So
Beautiful.
So, and the story behind this, why she's in a feather boa, is the best way to describe her. So my grandpa had passed away over 40 years ago, and on the tombstone it had his picture, and he's a young man, and she's like, I don't want him laying next to some old lady for the rest of eternity. So at 70, she went and got these glamour shots done. And then she got to 80. She's like, I still look good. And so she went and got glamour shots done at 80. And then these were when she turned 90. And so she thinks she was still beautiful and just inside and out. And she's just an amazing woman, 97 years old. 2 years before, or right before the pandemic, her license had expired at 95, and she got 100% on her driver's test and had her license until it was going to expire when she hit 100, when she would have probably done another glamour shot for her. But love you, Grandma.
Very, very special. Any other ones?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Palvin Richardson passed away about 10 days ago. She was the widow of Merrill Richardson, who had passed away a few years ago. He was pastor for many, many years of the Second Missionary Baptist Church here in town. And so she was a wonderful lady. Her daughter Christina was actually honored here maybe 2 months ago. I think she was one of the COVID heroes and so forth. So, but I could tell that the last few years after the passing of Merrill, that she was really went downhill after that. But anyway, wonderful woman. And also, I'd like to, on a positive note, announce somebody entering this world, a little guy named Harrison Doda, my grandson, grandbaby number 8. And he was 7'13" and 21 inches, born Saturday. He's home, and his sisters love him right now, but wait till he starts crawling around and getting into their stuff. We'll see how much they love him. So,
Absolutely. Any others? Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
All right, thank you.
congratulations. 8 of them, man. I only got 4.
oh man,
I'll
well
tell
that's
you.
all right.
Dead horse, man. Okay. At 12 o'clock, a little before 12, probably 5 before 12, we're going to break to go across the street for the 15th Annual Madera County Law Enforcement Memorial Service. So thank all you gentlemen and women out there that serve us. And okay, I got a little note here. So anyway, we're going to do that at 5 minutes to 12. So we'll see how we are on the agenda, whether we come back or not, and go from there. Okay. We're going to do the invocation. Jesse Chavez, oh, there he is, from the Rescue Mission, and Manuel. Where are you at? You're going to do the flag salute for us. How's that? Okay.
He's not here.
Thank you, County Board of Supervisors. Check.
Now we can hear you.
All right. Yeah, thank you, County Board of Supervisors and support staff for this opportunity to pray over this meeting. This prayer is titled, Our Minds Are in God's Hands. Heavenly Father, in our hearts we plan our course, but we pray that you establish our steps. I pray that this board seeks you for advice. Let us not make decisions based on what we know, but let us act based upon your wisdom. Please guide us. Lord, we place this meeting in your hands. We place our hearts and our minds in your hands so that you may direct us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Jesse and Manuel. Item number 4.
Public comment. The first 15 minutes of each regular session are set aside for members of the public to address the board on any matter under the jurisdiction of the board, but not appearing on the agenda. The board will not take action on any items presented under public comment. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Anyone addressing the board is asked to print their name clearly on the speaker sheet at the podium and state their name and county of residence for the record.
Okay, Jared.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Jared with Public Works. Wanted to take a quick opportunity to let you all know that we were successful in removing the final structure from our landfill site a few weekends ago with the help of our fire department, and we were able to partner with them. I'll pull up some pictures here. We were able to partner with them, utilize this structure as we did with the previous structure out there to do a training burn for training of their personnel. And then we also partnered with the law enforcement folks as well to utilize it for SWAT training and a few other things prior to burning it down.
They got everybody out, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody is out, no victims, but just wanted to highlight that and recognize the partnership with our law enforcement and fire personnel, and able to collaborate and utilize this site for some training, and also get rid of the structure for us at the landfill. And like I said, that's the final structure on the site, so we now have the entire site cleared and also secured with the fencing that was installed as this last contract that we did to do the expansion. So just wanted to thank everybody for the help and coordination on that.
Thank you. Any other public comment here? Have we got a public comment online?
Dan Metz, you're next.
Am I on?
You're
Yep,
on.
we can hear you, Dan.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Dan Metz, Madera County. Tom, it's good to see you.
Same
It's
here.
pleasant
You look good on a blank screen.
Yeah, good. I'm also known as Don.
Yeah, I started to say Donnie, but I didn't want to do it again.
You all should have received from me an email yesterday talking about inequitable dumping and illegal fees. I'd like for you to remember the number, $38 per ton. The average cost of owning and operating Fairmead landfill for the last 3 years. The Public Resources Code allows you to charge an amount equal to recover your costs. And again, that cost is $38 per ton. But the county is charging in-county haulers, the franchise haulers, $55 per ton. That amounts to a $2 million overcharge for 2021. And considering that that's poised to raise tipping fees another $10 to $20, that amounts to either $3 or $4 million overcharging. And I wonder how much that would be if we go back to 2014 when the illegal or the inequitable charging started. The second point is the fill rates. Madera County residents account for about 1/3 of the fill at the landfill, and the other 2/3 comes from outside haulers. That means that we are filling the dump 3 times as fast as we would if we used only in-county haulers. The $3.1 million expansion that was just authorized recently would not be necessary until 2029 if we had not been using outside sources. And finally, the economies of scale. I hear the economies of scale used often in conversations at board meetings. And my understanding about economies of scale is that they apply best whenever you have high fixed costs and low variable costs. We have just the opposite. We have high variable costs and low fixed costs. So the economies of scale don't really apply in that case. And then further, the principle of economies of scale assumes that everybody is paying the same price for the same product. We don't. We pay $55 per ton. Others pay $22 per ton, and the average is $38 per ton. So there is a serious inequity, and there is a serious question about the illegality or the legality of the fees that are being charged. Tom, you captured it so well in 2018, and I'm going to quote you. All we're doing is filling our dump up with Madera City, Chowchilla City, the jails, Fresno City, and all those raises are on the backs of our citizens. All I can say is that closes our dump up earlier for our people. The unincorporated people, we are paying for the cities who get their garbage for half the price. Actually, it's less than half the price. And we're paying those fees. It's ridiculous. I agree. It's ridiculous. How did we get into this quagmire? I don't know. All I know is that we've had the same consultant guiding us for the last 10 years. Maybe it's time for a change. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other public comment online? Any other from here? We'll close the public hearing and go to the consent calendar. Any, we're going to pull item R. That's the first thing we're going to do. Whoever makes the motion. Is there any questions on the consent calendar from the board? From the public? Seeing none? I'll
Move to
entertain.
approve pulling item R.
I'll second.
Got a second? Roll call, please.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Chairman Wheeler?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Okay, we're going to move to item 6, discussion items. And we will, let's see, we're going to skip 6B to 11 o'clock, and we're going to do 6C first, so we can get that done. I'll make Manuel wait a few minutes. Jared?
Good morning, Chair and members of the board. Jared Carter again with Public Works. Today we are here with a proclamation for National Public Works Week and the week of May 15th through the 21st. So instituted in 1960, the National Public Works Week seeks to remind and call public's attention to the importance and impact of public works in everyday lives of individuals. This week serves as a reminder of the many dedicated and hardworking professionals of the public works industry across the nation who put in countless hours to ensure that things like water systems, sewer systems, solid waste services, roads, bridges, and many other aspects of critical infrastructure that people rely on every day are maintained and continue to function and serve the community. This year's National Public Works Week's theme is Ready and Resilient, which highlights the dedicated public works team right here in Madera County and around the nation who stand ready to respond at a moment's notice to address emergencies or issues related to public infrastructure and continue to show resilience in the ever-changing circumstances of public works, whether it be day-to-day challenges, the ever-changing regulatory requirements, or large catastrophic events such as storms or wildfires. From the utility crews knee-deep in muddy trench repairing broken water lines late into the night or on holiday weekends, or responding to public safety power shutoff events to keep treatment and well systems operational, to the road crews out in the heat, rain, and snow exposed to traffic working to maintain the roads and bridges on a day-to-day basis, or responding to clearing down trees or setting up traffic control when catastrophic events occur, to the administrative team tending to residents' questions and handling irate, upset callers, ensuring that bills are processed and paid to keep the lights on and wells running and sewer treatment plants operating, or navigating the multiple budgets and funding sources supporting the department operations. The engineering team working to navigate multiple regulatory rules and design standards required to design and deliver millions of dollars in much-needed water, sewer, road, and bridge infrastructure projects. the tedious and detailed review and inspection of development projects to ensure they are designed and constructed to appropriate standards for safety of the public, and the managing and coordinating of waste collection services and disposal sites, debris removal from historic fire events, or never-ending reporting requirements to maintain regulatory compliance with enforcement agencies. The function and efforts of Public Works are something that every resident and visitor of Madera County rely on daily in some way, shape, or form, whether they realize it or not. In light of this week also being National Police Week, I would be remiss not to point out the critical role that Public Works also plays in public safety. While we may not carry guns, wear badges, use high-power water cannons, or automatic electronic defibrillators, the Public Works team is armed with what some might consider the not-so-glamorous things like shovels, wrenches, compactors, calculators, pencils, and protractors, which we use to ensure that the infrastructure needed to support our law enforcement, fire, and EMS partners in their public safety role is maintained and intact. So today, by the way of this proclamation for National Public Works Week, we are proud and honored to recognize the not all too often recognized hardworking professionals of the Madera County Public Works team who stand ready and resilient to serve the community and all those who live, work, and play in our great county of Madera. Thank you.
Thank you, Jared. What most of that stuff he said is so true. I called him on.
I thought all of it was true, Jared.
We'll take most. We'll take most.
Holidays, Christmas, midnight, water goes out. I mean, they always answer and they always get it done. So we got one of the best crews, I think, in the whole valley when it comes to public works, period, the end. So we got a proclamation for you to take your office, and we'll run down there real quick and get a picture. That's you too, Sam.
Me too? Hey, this is my first job with the county, was with road departments. So these are my, yeah. Yep. Plumb bobs and shiners.
One heck of a crew, and that's just part of them. They cover a lot of bases for the whole county. Okay, now we'll go to 6A, presentation of a proclamation to honor of the retirement of Manuel Perez. And probably 100 people want to say something. Mr. Tyson.
Good morning, Chairman and members of the board. I'm Sheriff Tyson Pogue, and it's my pleasure to present you with Chief Manuel Perez. I appreciate you asking Chief Perez to give you the Pledge of Allegiance. There's only so many more days we can ask him to do some of these county tasks.
I got to do that, boy.
As you know, at the end of this month, Chief Perez is going to honorably retire after 28 years of selfless service. I've worked alongside Chief Perez for most of my career. I personally have learned a lot from Chief Perez over this last year, and I want to give him a heartfelt thank you. He always takes time out of his busy schedule to stop and teach those around him, and I've benefited several times from that over the last year. I've always found him to be a faithful and loyal public servant. There's never a job that was beneath him, and never a time he didn't look out for the best interests of the inmates, the employees, and the county as a whole. He's a proud Marine, a patriotic American, and always a proud representation of Madera County. I find him to be a good man. He's a great public servant, and his departure will leave an inevitable void. He has, however, done a good job in passing his knowledge and experiences along to those around him, and now has well earned the opportunity to enjoy new adventures in life. So, Chief Perez, on behalf of the Madera County Sheriff's Office, we want to say thank you for your service and express our best wishes on your well-earned retirement. And please, impart some words of wisdom for one more time for us.
Sheriff, thank you.
Before you get to talking too much, we want to say a couple of things.
Okay.
If that's okay with you.
Absolutely, Mr. Chairman, and the board. First of all, thank you. I would say probably about 12 years ago, I was given the opportunity to be the Director of Corrections. After a good career being a correctional officer, a corporal, a sergeant, and lieutenant. I tell people there was no field manual or anything to tell you what it takes to be a director. So you really have to know the business, learn the business, and really look out for the constituents. But I always share with everybody is that I wasn't always the smartest cookie in the group, but I made it a habit of surrounding myself with the smartest. And the people you have day in and day out in the field of corrections with the Sheriff's Department, I would have to say are outstanding employees, but also public servants also. And it makes it easy for a person like myself to walk away after so many years of service because Madera County, you're in good hands. You're in good hands because the people that are standing here behind me and the ones that are still working at the facility and on the streets. So it really does make it easy for me. I'm happy. I'm excited. I have a new direction. I am getting out of the government business and getting into just personal goals and things that I need to do just as a dad, a husband, and a grandfather. And I'm looking forward to that. But thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Manuel, I always knew that the jail was in good hands with you, and just appreciate everything, your leadership, your ability to, I mean, you were always smiling. I'm like, how is he smiling? Like, that's not an easy job. And, but, you were just awesome to have. And I think something that's really important, like the fact that we just merged, right, the corrections and the Sheriff's Department, I would task anywhere else to try and do something like that and do it nicely without it like blowing up. It just goes to show just how much character you have to see what's best, what's going to run that way. I mean, it's a credit to you and your leadership. And I'm wondering, is this considered a retirement or would it be a work release for you?
Part of both.
Yeah, can we call it a work release party? Yeah.
Supervisor Rogers.
Yeah, Manuel, from the first visit we had in my office, I remember like 12 years ago, sat down in my office. I asked you to tell me your life story, and you did. And our hearts were knit together as friends and co-workers, and I always had great confidence in you and what you do and what you would propose. Never wavered in that, and you did a great job for us. There's no doubt. One of the best people I've ever worked with. Great attitude, and thank you for the years of service and the dedication and the friendship. Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Supervisor Gonzalez.
Yes, thank you. Chief Perez, I just want to thank you for your service. It's been a pleasure working with you throughout the years. I'll never forget all the visits at the jail when we're in the pods. And I've always felt safe standing next to you, but don't get me wrong, when you would say, we're standing amongst some of the most severe criminals, my legs would shake while I would be there, but I always felt safe with you and your staff. And on a personal note, thank you for connecting me with your friends within the car clubs at the parade. I had some great street cred with those beautiful cars, and it's going to be fun to watch, to see what you do with the restoration. So thank you for everything that you've done for this community. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Supervisor Poitras.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Manuel, I can't say that I'll never forget the time you sat in my office, because I never invited you to sit in my office, but that's okay, because, I've had a chance to, meet you over time in the field but also knowing who you are, and I know how important your family is, and other pursuits and friends, and as Supervisor Gonzalez mentioned, I'm really excited to see what the next chapter is, and opportunities, and it's not a retirement, it's a transition. So great.
I like that.
Great, congratulations.
Thank you.
I also forgot to mention that congratulations, you will forever be known as the final chief over at the Department of Corrections. So thank you for that.
All right, thank you. I'll take it.
Okay, my turn, buddy. Our corrections department has always been ahead of, I think, most all the counties in the state. I remember we wasn't on the board very long, and Manuel and Doug Pabagny come to us and wanted to they tried to get Fresno to go with them too when they were doing these prison expansions to have training for prisoners, when they were trying to kick all the prisoners out of the prisons into the counties. And so we stuck our neck out with their backing. They stuck their neck out with our backing, I should say. Fresno denied it. 3 counties in the whole state did it. We got $60 million to redo our jail and spread it out and make it bigger. And they were one of the reasons we did it. And then after we had the ribbon cutting to open it, 2 or 3 county supervisors came to us and said, "Man, how'd you guys do this?" And all we had to do is offer the state 20 acres so they could build their training facility on it. Well, later, in a year or two, they decided they didn't want to do that. We got the $60 million, and they thought we'd done such a great job. They gave us, I think, $6 million more to redo the kitchen and all that kind of stuff. But that's the kind of leadership that, when you said you got the people under you, well, same with this board. We're only as good as the people under us, period. Absolutely. You guys make us look good, or otherwise we don't get reelected. Bottom line. Right. You don't have to worry about that because you're hired. But I remember when Pagny came to the board and said he was going to retire, and we said, "Do we want to go out recruiting?" And Doug said, "I don't think you have to. I think we got 3 guys that's in my department that can handle this job." And it was Manuel and Mr. King, and who was the other one?
John Fisher.
Yeah. And so we interviewed him, the board, and Rogers and I were only 2 left on there then. Yeah. And that were interviewing
The old
them.
butt bugs.
And it was a hard decision because they're all pretty good, but Manuel kind of just stood out.
Yes,
maybe it's that smile. Maybe it's the Marines. I don't know what it was, and I think we made the right choice.
Absolutely.
And look what we've got. And we made the right choice in picking Tyson Pogue as our sheriff, and Jay retired, and you two worked together to bring the jail and the corrections and the sheriffs all together now. Now there's only one other county that's not that way. And I applaud you for doing that. So we got a great proclamation here for you. And I think it takes time, but I think we should read it because some of the stuff I didn't even know about. So you just got to bear with me. There's a whole bunch of whereases. I'll skip. Manuel Perez, Director of Corrections, retired after 28 years of dedicated service to the citizens of Madera County. And in 1984, Manuel graduated from Yerba Buena High School, attended the Arizona Automotive Institute, and graduated AA1 in 1985 and moved on to a career. And in 1987, Manuel joined the United States Marines, and the same year asked the love of his life, Zona Orta, to marry him. And she said no. I mean, she said yes. After 2 years in the Pacific and his third tour in combat, Manuel received an honorable discharge in 1991 and received a Naval Achievement with Combat V, and in 1994, Chief Perez began his career at the Madera County Department of Corrections as a correctional officer and ascended to the ranks from correctional corporal, correctional sergeant, correctional lieutenant, and ultimately the chief. And one of many highlights in his career was securing funding for the jail expansion AB 900. Oh, you already got that in here. 1 and 2 and SB 1020. And Chief Perez has contributed greatly to the community over the years, unselfishly sacrificing time from work and family to provide necessary services to the citizens of Madera County. And you may take your own words in the retirement at face value as you tinker with your passion of classic car restoration. Don't look at the end, look towards your next step. Manuel Perez. Thank you so much for all your service. Before we give it to anybody else want to say anything about him? Oh, here we go. Well, I think that's important, his fellow workers.
Yes, it is.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Chris Rodriguez. I just want to say thank you to Manny Perez. He's been an inspiration to me, promoted me through the ranks in the last 21 years. I worked with him. I don't know, I guess I'm one of those guys he's referring to because I've been attached to him for the last maybe 15 years or so. And so it's definitely going to be different not having him in the building. With his experience, he's just working in the line of work and respected throughout the state. So thank you again, Manuel, and we'll continue our friendship, but good luck in the future. Enjoy your grandkids, and one of these days you'll restore one of my vehicles. So.
Anyone else? Well, let's all give him a great big hand here. Thank you, Manuel. We're losing a good man right there. Thank you, Manuel. Krista, is your person here yet? Okay, no, it's okay. I postponed to 11, but they come in. Okay, we're gonna go to 6D, like in dog.
Do we have public hearings?
Oh, we do? Oh, we do, I'm sorry. Huh?
It's just formalizing the item, the contract. Item 6D. Never mind. Yeah, it's just formalizing that.
Okay, we'll do 6D real quick and get it done.
6D, discussion and consideration of entering into a memorandum of understanding between Madera County and Self-Help Enterprises for facility use located at Parksdale Village, and authorize the chairman to sign.
This is just a formal agreement between the county and Self-Help Enterprises. It's no cost to the county whatsoever, it just allows us to use office space there.
Perfect. Any comments from the board? Any from the public? Motion, please.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
First and second, roll call.
Supervisor Gonzalez?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Chairman Wheeler?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Okay, we're going to go right to the public hearing. 10 minutes late, but that's okay. We're running the show. 7A.
7A, public hearing to adopt a resolution approving an economic incentive agreement with Yosemite Resort LLC. Discussion and consideration of entering into an agreement with Yosemite Resorts LLC.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Joel Begay, County Administrative Office. This item is related to an October 2018 board-approved economic incentive agreement with Yosemite Resorts LLC for constructing a conference and hotel center up in Oakhurst of no less than 10,000 square feet for the corporate training center. That agreement stipulated that they would receive a 50% of new TOT generated from the facility for a period of 25 years. Since then, the pandemic happened, which delayed construction, and during that period of time, too, the market forces changed some of the requirements, or the market forces dictated different design features that needed for the corporate training center, as well as the ownership structure for Yosemite Resorts LLC was changed, or is contemplated to be changed. This agreement will supersede the October 2018 agreement, and it allows Yosemite Resorts LLC to enter into a partnership with Waterton Hotels and to create a new entity called WH Yosemite LLC. All terms of the economic incentives are still the same. It's still 50% in 25 years. The corporate training center is now a minimum square feet of 12,000 square feet. And as far as the market forces impacting the demands, it's the developers proposing to incorporate more indoor and outdoor conference spaces, which is what is the demand of current corporations are for this type of facility. With that, I believe staff from Yosemite Resorts LLC in Waterton are online, as well as county council, and staff is available for any questions you may have.
I know we've been going back and forth with a lot of negotiations on this for the last 6 months or plus so. Any questions from the board? Any from the public? This is a public hearing. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and give it back to the board.
Would you like to make the motion on it, Tom?
Yes, I will. Thank you so much. I make the motion to approve 7A, 1 and 2.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Chairman Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Now we're going to jump again. We're going to jump to 6I. so the sheriff can get out and get their noon, oh, L. Oh, I'm sorry.
6L, second reading to consider an
Looks like
adoption.
I or L, I don't know, something like that.
Second reading
6L.
to consider the adoption of an ordinance to add section 2.31.040 to chapter 2.31 of Title II of the Madera County Code pertaining to the Sheriff's Office acquisition and use of military equipment as defined in Assembly Bill 481.
Thank you, Chairman. I did tell you I, but I meant L.
Okay.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. I'm Sheriff Tyson Pogue. We're here today. We're presenting you with the second reading of an ordinance required by AB 481. This item was presented to the board last meeting by Commander Ward, who has joined me here. In short, the government code now requires our office to obtain permission from this board to use certain public safety items, of which they've deemed militarized equipment. Listed, you'll see 15 categories. We have equipment from 8 of those categories that we currently have in our possession and use. There's no fiscal impact from these items, as the equipment's already been approved through the normal budgetary process. And in order to stay in compliance with this new legislation, we're asking your board to adopt the ordinance as presented to you. We're available to answer any questions. And I don't know, Ms. Regina, if we're required to actually read the ordinance, or?
No, we waived the reading. Yeah.
Yep, by reading the title, you can waive reading the entire ordinance.
Any comments from the board? Supervisor Rogers?
Yes, I got a call shortly after my comments in the last meeting, someone who misunderstood my position on this, and I want to make it very clear that I support law enforcement every way, shape, form, or fashion, and my angst, my irritation is with you having to get permission for something that you should have the right to obtain by virtue of protecting yourselves and the public in doing your job. So that's my angst. And I referred back to that incident in Los Angeles at the bank where armored personnel were robbing the bank, and the law enforcement officers were being mowed down by automatic weapons without the benefit of having equal firepower, equal response, the ability to respond equally, because the law constrains them. I don't believe that it is unconstitutional for law enforcement to protect the public in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Private property rights have always been the core of our foundations of freedom. Personal property rights and freedom are inextricably linked. And our go-between, our protector, the ever-vigilant person on the wall of freedom inside of our borders of this republic have always been the deputies, the sheriffs, the people of law enforcement, and I stand behind them 1,000%. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm sorry, thank you, Supervisor Rogers. And I do appreciate your support of law enforcement as well as the entire board. So you guys have always put public safety first from what I've seen. And as a result of that, we have less concerns with this new legislation than probably other counties do. So I
Always
appreciate
have
that
and
support.
always will.
Right.
Any other comments from the board?
Move to approve.
Let's ask, any public comment? Now,
Second?
got a first and a second here. Roll call?
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez?
Yes.
Chairman Wheeler?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, guys. See you at noon. Okay. Now we'll go to 6E. No. She said she.
6E, second reading to consider the adoption of ordinance relating to various staff committees amending section 17.72.030, 17.72.040, 17.72.050, 16.06.010, 16.06.020, 16.06.030, 16.06.040, and 16.06.050, and repealing section 17.12.010 of the Madera County Code.
I missed two of those. Would you say those one more time? Thank you, Karen.
Thank you,
Good
Mr. Chairman,
morning,
members of
Jamie.
the board. Jamie Bax, Community and Economic Development. Yes, this is pertaining to various staff committees such as the Development Review Committee, Parcel Map Committee, Subdivision Committee. We'll continue to meet. Our permit tracking system allows us to meet regularly and schedule those meetings over the years. So process will not change. Everything will remain the same, and I'm available for any questions.
Any questions on the board? What's your pleasure? Oh, any public comment?
Move to waive the second reading and adopt the ordinance.
I'll second.
Okay, we have first and second. Roll call, please.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Chairman Wheeler?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you. 6F.
6F, second reading to consider the adoption of an ordinance to enact sections 11.04.245 through 11.04.248 of the Madera County Code pertaining to building addresses.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Jamie Bax, Community and Economic Development. This will allow for uniformity of addresses to be posted on buildings and throughout the county with a uniform type code. It'll bring the code up to standards. Hasn't been updated in quite some years, so everybody hopefully will be happy. Building inspectors will be able to locate everything in emergency services as well.
That's really important for safety too, for sheriffs and the fire.
You bet.
So they know where they are and they know what size they are, so when they go looking. So, any public comment?
Move to approve.
I'll second.
You got a second? Roll call, please.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez?
Yes.
Chairman Wheeler?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
6G.
6G, discussion and consideration to adopt a resolution authorizing the Director of Community and Economic Development to execute agreements with the California Department of Transportation for the Madera Station Relocation Transit Area Specific Plan Project.
Good morning again, Jamie Bax, Community and Economic Development. So this is a resolution that Caltrans is requesting for us to facilitate the grant. Last October, staff sought the board's direction to apply for this grant. The grant amount is $450,000. We were notified on April 4th of that grant. So staff continues to move forward and will work with Caltrans to implement the grant. And this resolution will allow for staff to hire the necessary consultants and prepare that plan.
Beautiful.
Great.
Any comments from the board?
Thank
Any
you.
public comment? What's your pleasure?
Move to approve.
Second?
Okay, roll call, please.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez?
Yes.
Chairman Wheeler?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you, Jamie. And, you know, I've had people bug me about, you know, they say we get this grant money. They don't realize that somebody's going to get that grant money. I don't care if it's Madera County, Fresno County, or San Diego County. And if we don't go get those, we won't be getting a lot of projects like we get done. So thank you, staff. Thank you, Jamie, and all your crew. 6H.
Move to approve.
Second?
Any public comment? Roll call, please.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez?
Yes.
Chairman Wheeler?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you,
Congratulations,
Michelle.
Michelle.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing the great work you do and keep the office going. So thank you so much. What? Oh,
Well, no, I just had a request to speak because if you didn't say that, I was going to say that, but then everybody jumped in, so, all right.
we all
Thank
feel the
you.
same way, see?
Yep,
So
there you go.
thumbs up. 6I.
6I, discussion and consideration of approval to ratify a memorandum of understanding between Madera County and the Postgraduate Licensed Professional Unit for a 3-year term from July 1st, 2021 to July 30th, 2024.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any public comment? We've been working hard on this. Roll call, please.
Supervisor Gonzalez?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Chairman Wheeler?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
And here's another good one. 6J.
Move to approve. Second.
Any public comment? Any comment from Susan?
No comment,
Hard
just
work,
thank you
right?
very much.
Thank you.
And we got the motion, and we got public comment taken care of. Roll call, please.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez?
Yes.
Chairman Wheeler?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
6K.
6K, discussion and consideration of entering an agreement, state grant number 22-12174 with the California Department of Public Health in the amount of $961,885 as listed on the agenda.
Good morning.
Looks like the slides aren't loaded, but that's okay. We're moving quickly this morning. Appreciate Mr. Chair and the board in moving this item to regular agenda so we can highlight our oral health program. The goal is to improve the oral health status of Madera County residents, both through education about prevention, promoting existing oral health services, and to increase access to oral health services for high-risk populations. It's not well known, but actually oral health is really linked to the academic performance of children. Tooth decay is the most common of the chronic conditions that keep kids out of school. In fact, kids miss an average of 6 days of school per year with dental problems, and they're 3 times more likely to be out of school if they have poor dental health than their counterparts. But the good news is, of course, it's preventable, and we have lots of great services available to our families in Madera County, so that children who are reporting tooth pain have access to services. And it is a disproportionate impact to our Latino youth as well as our children that are low income, so we very much focus on services that are available through Medi-Cal. There are several things that our oral health program does. The first is working with families to understand that there is, by California law, a requirement of assessment of kids around oral health for entry into kindergarten, similar to childhood immunizations, and making sure that parents have those resources to get that assessment completed. We also work with many of our partners, our own WIC program, CAPMC, schools, our library system, and other county-based organizations to host a couple different things. Education events, dental days with parents, and caregivers in which we provide information about the importance of dental care, like fluoride and dental sealants, and for the parents in particular, tobacco cessation, sugar-sweetened beverages and the role of that in children's lives in terms of their both baby and grown teeth, their permanent teeth. And then we talk with them, of course, about opportunities through Medi-Cal, getting enrolled in Medi-Cal, and how they can use Medi-Cal for their dental health. We also do events which are really exciting, where we actually provide services. So we're in contract with different dental providers, and we do assessments with the kids on site and provide fluoride varnish and dental sealants, as well as getting them connected with a dentist in the area. So we're looking to expand services at all times, and of course, we're offering those services throughout the county. We've worked with schools in Madera as well as Raymond Knowles in the mountain area, and we're excited to continue this effort through funding from the California Department of Public Health. Any questions?
Yeah, I got one. Those mobile units we have, will we do dental stuff at that too?
Of course. Of course.
Yeah,
We're going to use that for everything.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yes.
I thought that was, I know the one that Camarina Health does, so. Okay, any questions from the board? Any from the public?
Just for clarification, Sarah, is this free to the public? Is the program free?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, we need a motion, folks.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Supervisor Gonzalez?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Chairman Wheeler?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Okay, now we're going to jump back to 6B, Library Department.
6B, presentation of the 2021 CSAC Challenge Awards in an Innovation to the Madera County Library, given by Jacqueline Juan Hernandez, Deputy Executive Director of Legislative Affairs.
Great. Thank you and welcome to Madera County, the best place to work, live, and play. And now you can quit your job up there and move here anytime you want. How's that
Wheeler,
sound?
that's very kind to know that I would be welcomed here to do that. I think I was telling Supervisor Gonzalez when last I saw you all that I spent some time here. My dad lived here in Madera City and County when I was a kid.
So it's time to come back.
So I'm very familiar with the Cleveland exit, which is what I took getting here.
Oh, boy.
So thank you all for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to join you today and especially to join you in person. Feels like a real treat after what we've all been dealing with. I'm Jacqueline Wong Hernandez. I'm the Deputy Executive Director of the California State Association of Counties. We are the advocacy voice of the 58 counties and also a member services organization really seeking to serve, to give voice to the counties and also to offer education and training to county supervisors and county employees. And I think there's a lot of camaraderie, a lot of really good professional and mutual development that happens among supervisors and among different county staff at our conferences and workshops and webinars. We have a foundation that provides a lot of technical assistance to counties and focus very much on telling the county story, especially in Sacramento. Because a lot of the work, as you all are all too familiar, that goes unnoticed, the important work of governing really happens at this level. And so, we're proud to be partners with you in that. 2021 was another challenging year for all of us and all of you as we continued to pivot and conduct business remotely while keeping ourselves and our communities safe. And despite these challenges, we really remained dedicated to protecting the county interests and trying to advance those core county priorities at the state and federal level. We also tried to help position counties to take advantage of the opportunities derived from ARPA and to secure and leverage resources and investments that would be normally unattainable in a typical budget year. Some of those opportunities translated into major financial investments in broadband to help close the digital divide by providing a $6 billion investment in broadband infrastructure. We also continued our commitment to ensure strong state and county partnerships on homelessness. That strong collaboration helped to secure a historic $12 billion investment with $2 billion flowing directly to local government. So we're very proud of that. Before I pivot to why I'm here, which is the Challenge Awards, I wanted to acknowledge one of your county leaders who has taken significant steps to serve county residents even better through CSAC's Bill Shyatt Institute for Excellence in County Government. And I did not tell her I was going to do this. CSAC congratulates Supervisor Leticia Gonzalez for her earning her institute credential by successfully completing 60 hours of coursework. And we were able to celebrate her briefly at our legislative conference. Gosh, that was just a month ago, I think. But anyway, encourage everyone to take advantage of some of that coursework. But right now, we wanted to, yes. Right now, what I wanted to do, though, is focus on the tremendously innovative work being done here in Madera County. In 2021, we received more than 400 entries in our annual Challenge Awards that we do across all of the counties, which each year spotlights the most innovative and effective programs happening in counties around California. And that's the highest number of entries we've ever had in the 28 years of the program. And we have different kind of categories and tiers of awards in that program. Madera County's entry, the Backpack Literacy Project, stood out in a big way, and I am honored to award the program the California Counties Innovation Award, which is one of only 3 in the 58 counties and of those 400 entries this year to receive this prestigious award in 2021. This resource-driven program was created to help address the lack of materials and support needed to effectively prepare children for kindergarten. Barriers to learning, such as poverty and lack of affordable and quality childcare, coupled with the challenges related to the COVID-19 pandemic, drove the county toward providing this helpful tool and the way that it unfolded and that they pivoted. With funding through a grant from First 5 Madera County, the Madera County Library created the program to provide opportunities for quality parent-child interactions and activities through a series of 6 units of free workshops in English and Spanish. Carefully assembled backpack kits included kits of books, craft supplies, flashcards, and activities. To adapt to the pandemic, the backpack kits were distributed through contactless grab-and-go methods. We were just so impressed by this program, by the thought that went into it and the way that it adapted to serve your community. When faced with the closed buildings due to the pandemic, the library team didn't postpone the project, but instead adapted it to an online format. The virtual format allowed the library to expand its reach to residents in more rural parts of the county that otherwise might not have been able to participate due to transportation and distance. I am still learning how broad and diverse your county is, but Supervisor Wheeler has told me more than once that I haven't seen the half of this county. It also filled a void during the pandemic shutdown of most of the preschools and daycares by providing an online community of support for parents and caregivers who did not have access to other options. This project is innovative because of its adaptability and capacity to reach beyond library walls and increasing the reach to residents in rural areas. Because of the program's far-reaching success, First 5 extended funding for an additional year. And so I would like to present the CSAC California County's Innovation Award to Library Director Krista Riggs, who I believe is here.
She's here, yep.
And I have not had the pleasure of meeting her, and I'm going to try to
She's dynamite. You're going to like her, just like
present
you
this
are.
to you without dropping it. And so wanted to just tell you how impressed and thankful we were to become familiar with your project, and wanted to congratulate you and all of your team who contributed to this great program. And
Can
so
we all come down and get a picture?
I am good. Let's do it.
If I could just say a couple of things. We're so grateful to have this recognition, but I cannot take any credit. My team did an amazing job. They were faced with very challenging situations with the pandemic. We had the choice to postpone, to not do it, and instead they found really creative ways to not just offer the programs, but also help combat isolation with our parents of young children, which is always a challenge, but especially during the pandemic. So I'm so proud. Some of them are here. It involved almost all of our staff at all of our locations. So the kudos is really to them and not to me, but thank you.
While we're coming back, I wanted to say a word about that real quick. And, you know, in 2015, CSAC did a peer review of all the counties. And in the peer review, we were almost at the top, and in fact, at the top, in every category but one. And you remember what that was? The libraries. And now they've put us back on the map. So we've improved that category. So we must be number one in every category now.
That's right. Absolutely. So important. Thank you, Krista, again. Okay. Moving on. Item, where are we at here?
6 AM West.
6 AM.
6M, water meter installation and work order management software services is listed on the agenda.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Andrea Saldati, Deputy Director with Public Works. I am actually here for Jared, who had to run to a meeting. So this is a contract with Aquametrics. They will be installing new meters in SA1, Indian Lakes, and they will be putting in meters for the first time into Parkwood. It's a fully funded grant program, so no funds out of pocket for either of the districts. They will be putting in new, more modern meters in SA1, and this is to meet the state looming deadline for water meter installation into our districts by 2025.
Thank you so much. We've been waiting for parts to get these for 6 months, hasn't it?
Yep.
Or longer?
Yep, very long time. Still waiting. We are going to get a big chunk of them here within, I believe, the next couple of weeks to start construction in June.
Perfect. So thank you, Andrea, and keeping on top of that, and the staff that's been doing it, because every day we have our RWMG meeting, that comes up. So any questions from the board? Supervisor Gonzalez.
Andrea, do you know what kind of outreach are you going to be doing prior to the installation?
So within this contract, Aquametrics is actually responsible for the outreach and education piece. So they will be doing a mailer, which will go to property owners, and we said we do need a door knocker as well. So they will go out and do hand delivery of notices to all the properties that will be affected. And we'll start that probably a month before install and then 2 weeks before install.
Great, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. Any public comment? Seeing none. What's your pleasure, board? I'm going to make the motion. No, Letty, you make the motion, I'll second.
It's actually, whose district?
It's District 1.
Oh, it is your District 1.
Move to approve.
Second, because part of it's in District 5.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a motion and a second, and me. Roll call, please.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Chairman Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez?
I like chair, that sounds good. Yes.
You voted no?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
5-0. Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Okay. Now then, what time is it? Oh, we got a lot of time. 8A. Are we ready, Stephanie?
8A, presentation and update of Madera County groundwater sustainability agencies.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Stephanie and Agneson, your Director of Water and Natural Resources, and Deputy County Counsel Mike Linden here. We have a GSA update. It's a presentation that shows you activities that we've been up to over the past couple of months. Okay, let's get started. So, that's a little pixelated. So I will review the status of each of the groundwater sustainability plans, the rate study, Prop 68 grant funding, and talk about the multi-benefit land repurposing grant. So status of GSPs is of the utmost importance. And it varies by subbasin. So in the Madera subbasin, we did receive a letter from the state board that talked about what they perceived as a lack of coordination between the entities in the Madera subbasin. You'll recall there are 7 of those. That letter is public, and you can access it under the SIGMA portal, the state website. We do not have an official determination in Madera on whether the plan is complete or incomplete or inadequate yet. That's because it was turned in a little bit late because of not having a coordination agreement immediately signed by all 7 parties. In Chowchilla, the GSP was labeled incomplete. It's in revision. We have a series of meetings with the State Department of Water Resources to understand that. We've talked through our monitoring network, land subsidence, groundwater levels, and last Friday we talked through interconnected surface water. The plan in the Delta Mendota that we were part of, that the exchange contractors took the lead in, that's also deemed incomplete, as are all the plans in the San Joaquin Valley. They're all under revision right now and due in July. We've also turned in our annual reports. These are reports that have substantial analysis of progress towards sustainability, which are due April 1st. So big effort there. This is paid for with the Prop 26 exempt admin fee that runs the groundwater sustainability agencies. In terms of allocations, they are currently in effect now. We had a grower workshop on some upgrades with EraWatch, which is the satellite measurement that we're using. That was April 25th, 2022. We are planning a public workshop on some of the science behind satellite measurement based on grower questions for June 8th. And we also have a verification project where people can compare their meter data to EraWatch. And that is underway with 23 folks signed up. And of course, I know not everybody loves satellite measurement, but there is an option to use your own meter data. You need to take a monthly meter read and a photo of that, and then submit that at the year end. We're also asking you to hire someone to just inspect the installation of your meter and do a transit time meter, which will measure the flow and verify that it's accurate. So there are options if you don't love EraWatch. They do require some work on your end, but really no more than metering and taking a meter read. In terms of EraWatch upgrades, I just wanted to show one upgrade that we've put in. It's that from the main screen where you sign in and see your fields, you can access your farm unit and your allocation. And here's an example. The farm unit is the top part with a report on the far right that's clickable and shows your use to date for the calendar year. So some upgrades based on grower suggestions that we've been able to do within EraWatch. Let's talk a little bit about the rate study. The board authorized noticing on April 12th. We began noticing May 2nd.
Is there any way we can pause until this gets a little bit more?
Take just 1 minute from
Sure,
this page.
sure. I've been trying to read the slides so that everyone knows what you're seeing, but pausing is good.
Yeah. This is going to be on permanent up some.
Frustrating for people that's sitting out here. Good suggestion.
Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear, was fuzzy wuzzy fuzzy. I don't know, was he? Yeah. Where's mine?
I can share. It's a lot.
They are good though.
I did try it earlier.
I hate mine.
Okay, because it's all PowerPoint. Okay. That's why I tried the second one.
There shouldn't be a problem. We tested both of them.
Are we being hacked?
There it is.
Looking better now.
Ah, you got it.
There we go.
Ah.
Oh, that's
See the
good.
difference in
All right, it's ready. From whatever slide you're at.
Thank you, David.
Very much.
Thanks, David. Good tech guy.
Turn it off and back on.
Yeah. So why don't you just go through every page until
Briefly
you
go
get
through.
to the page on the rate study and just a second or two on each one.
Okay,
You don't have to say nothing, just if you just roll it.
I will say nothing.
You said everything, so I think that if we just kind of go through it slow, let everybody see it, and then we'll stop at the rate study and you can take over again.
Sounds good. These are our items for discussion. Here was the status of the GSPs for Madera, Chowchilla, Delta, Mendota. Here's the allocation information. They're in effect. We had a workshop last month, upcoming workshop on the science. We were showing what the AirWatch portal looks like with an upgrade that lets you look at the farm unit budget and by parcel. Farm units on the top, that's all your parcels in a zone grouped together. And on the bottom is every APN. I put a box over these APNs, so we would not reveal any personal information. And then I think this is where we stopped. Is that right, Mr. Chairman?
Yep, that's it, right there.
So the board authorized that we begin public noticing. This is of a fee to pay for projects, which include recharge, land repurposing, domestic well mitigation, and participation in sites reservoir. We began that process. We sent out the public notices on May 2nd. We also sent out a trifold brochure, which is shown at the right. We'll send out that brochure again, which gives more in-depth information than the notice can. The public hearing is June 21st at 10:30. Shifting a little bit, you know we've been very aggressive about getting state grants. We have Prop 68 planning funds, which have inventoried domestic wells and include installing monitoring wells in the Madera and Chowchilla subbasins. So this work was paid for by the state. We applied for it, we've received it, and it was used in the rate study. We also have Prop 68 implementation funds for round one. This is building recharge facilities that includes turnouts in some basins, a lot of on-farm recharge, which is the cheapest option in the Madera and Chowchilla subbasins, so $4.2 million in each subbasin. So although it seems like a lot of money, these are expensive projects to get the amount of water that we need in. And I've put a little table there at the bottom of the slide. We're doing very aggressive recharge because it offsets demand reduction. So 195,000 acre feet is the estimate upon projects 1 through 5 completion in both Madera and Chowchilla. 195,000 acre feet is a ton of water, and being very aggressive about flows, particularly off the bypass. We just received additional funds in round 2 of Prop 68 implementation, $500,000 in the Madera subbasin and $3.2 million in the Chowchilla subbasin. And we applied for $10 million in multi-benefit land repurposing. We applied as the county itself, which means multiple different GSAs in the Madera, Chowchilla, and Delta Mendota could be eligible for funds. We are working together with the Farm Bureau, the Madera Ag Water Association, the Resource Conservation District, and California Farmland Trust. In the grant application, we should be notified shortly if we're successful with that. There was an article in the Fresno Bee this morning that talked through the necessity of the funds here. So this would take land out of irrigated production and introduce some multiple benefit, which could be something like pollinator habitat, it could be dryland farming, it could be recharge, but it is something over and above just the water savings. And then I just wanted to give a nod to the partnerships that we have going on. We spend a lot of time working with other organizations, whether it's locally with the Madera Ag Water Association, Farm Bureau Resource Conservation District, or NRCS. We are also part of a flood MAR network that's managed aquifer recharge, trying to facilitate less regulation in terms of flood flows being used for recharge. We partner with sustainable conservation as well. In domestic wells, we're part of the San Joaquin Valley Partnership. There's a water ad hoc group that monitors wells and support for self-help, administering state board funds in the drought. We're also part of a lot of integrated water resource planning groups, whether it's our regional water management group that Chairman Wheeler chairs, or the Roundtable of Regions, which is another statewide group of integrated water resource management. Yosemite Sequoia, RC&D. I'm also on the State Water Plan Advisory Committee and chair of a group of scientists that are the advisory committee for a USDA grant. Lastly, but not least, we are part of several efforts, one called the Blueprint, one called the Collaborative Action Partnership, that work on valley water issues and trying to bring more water into the valley for multiple needs. So this concludes our GSA update presentation. I'd be glad to take your questions.
Any questions from the board? Seeing none? Any from the public? Come on up, buddy.
Ralph Pistoresi, farmer in the area. You know, we're hearing a lot of these cooperations that you guys are all doing with all these government agencies, but we were sent out a brochure. It was like this one. It looked like a little bit like junk mail. It's not. And there's another one too. And in it, it talks about a $245 an acre fee for some recharge program or something. All right. $245 an acre per year. Now, Stephanie, does that include the GSA, or is that part of it? Or is the GSA on top of it?
That's a fee for projects.
That's not the GSA. GSA is 120 some bucks an acre?
No.
No.
What is the GSA fee for maintaining your thing? 25, okay. All right. So this is $245 an acre in Madera, $205 an acre in Chowchilla, and then it's $100 and some an acre in a different Mendota. All right. I don't know how many of you are farmers. I think there's 2 of you that are farmers. There's just not that much money in it. The price of fertilizer has tripled. The price of fuel has tripled. Labor's gone up. The number of hours that we could give people, and then overtime after that, gone up. All of our expenses have gone up. There's no profit left in it. This $245 an acre represents more money than a farmer could rent his ranch for. This amount is, I know you got projects you want to do this, you're going to do that, do everything, but a lot of the things that you want to do can be done without spending all these millions of dollars. For example, there was a recharge program I think the NRCS wants to put on, and they want to pay farmers to recharge water on their property. $62, $92 an acre, some ridiculous thing. The farmers should be putting water on their property for free. Maybe even paying a little bit of money for the water to put on their property. But they don't need to be paid $100 an acre foot to put water on their property. All these new type of ponding areas that you want to create, they're not necessary. When water's available, it needs to be put in the canal system. You go through the MID or Chowchilla. Who wants to take water? Come and sign up. And during the flood flows, the canal systems are filled, the water's made available, and it's put on the ground. There's a lot of property that can take a lot of water. We have one ranch, it's 720 acres. You could put all the water you could bring to it, and I can put it in the ground, all right? There's no need to be paid for it. There's none of that stuff. But if you charge $245 an acre on 1,000 acres, that's $250,000 a year. And every year you got to pay it. That's egregious. That's like sinful. I recommend that all of you consider very closely how you vote on certain things. Because the state might make these different demands on us, but it's up to you, Board of Supervisors, to push back on the state when what they're asking you to do is genocide the farming community. And that's what's happening, and that's what's going to happen. And if they think that in the irrigation district, they're only going to affect the white area and the MID is not going to get affected, that's not true. Everybody's going to get it sooner or later. Everybody. So, you know what? There's nothing for free. All these programs, all these cooperating with one another, all of this, we're going to free this or we're going to drill you a well here or there. They're taking way more than they're going to give you. On top of all of it, when the bypass was flowing the last 3 years, when there was a big, it looked like the Colorado River going through, the State Water Resources Board wasn't even giving out the permits to pump the water from there. We were pumping the water out just because we decided to go do it. But there was no thing, and I tell you what,
Hey,
I don't think.
Mr. Pistoresi,
Yeah.
I charge $10 when your phone rings.
Okay, no problem, I'll pay it. All right, but let me tell you something. There is nothing, has the State Water Resources Board granted all the different places where they can extract water from the bypass already? They're being processed for 3 years. And when the flood comes, they'll still be in process. And then you're talking about putting all this new water in the ground. What new water? Most water in California has already been allocated. It's adjudicated where it's supposed to go. The only free water there is flood flow water. We have to take it timely. We have to have preparation done well in advance for when it comes. We have to be ready to get it.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do.
And it takes cooperation among all the irrigation districts. But to just charge money and try to tax us, this is not the way to do it. You need to reconsider what you're doing.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pistoresi.
Hello, Board. My name's Ryan Jones. A couple of you know me, have spoken with me. I cannot agree more with Ralph. And because some of you on the board have talked to me, the $245 an acre, I will wager with any of you in such a sick manner that I would have to do it. I will be filing bankruptcy. You will put me into bankruptcy. There's not enough money. Mr. Poitras here has seen my tax returns for the last 3 years. There's no money to pay $245 to top it off. The communist implementation of it is shocking to me. Not only are we forced to take ground out of production, but the ground we can't even farm because of Stephanie's regulations, the GSA regulations.
It's state regulations.
State regulations, Mr. Wheeler.
Okay.
The state's regulations and on our water means we've got ground in idle and we're still paying the $245 an acre annual fee on it? If there's no crop growing there, there's no money being generated. That's ridiculous. Mr. Poitras referred to me as it would maybe be time for me to dig into my savings. Well, seeing as how I'm 55 years old, I've been a farmer in this community my whole life, and I have $17,000 in savings. It isn't even going to pay half of the first year that I would owe. A little confusing, to say the least. Now, I'd like to touch on a couple of other things. I farm out far west in Madera, just out of Firebaugh. And I asked Stephanie how I got put into the white group when my water out there has dropped 20 feet, less than 20 feet, in 32 years. Less than 20 feet in 32 years. I want everybody to be clear on that. I've been put into the white group with other farmers whose water's dropping 20 feet a year, 30 feet a year, 50 feet a year. And I asked Stephanie, why have I been included with a bunch of farmers who have serious overdraft problems when mine is manageable? And she explained to me that I was part of a unit. That was a unit that I was part of. So if they're overdrafting, even though they're 40 miles away from me, then it's my problem too? That's ridiculous. That's how communism works. It's just ridiculous. That was something I would expect in China, not here in Madera County. So anyways, let me touch on another thing. So my farm, I've got 160 acres in the white area out near Firebaugh. I'm pumping water at just over 100 feet. That's where my standing water is. It was at 85 or 87 feet 32 years ago. My yields and my almonds out there, I've hit 4,000 pounds the acre numerous times. My raisins never drop below 3 tons the acre, and most of the time they go 3.5 tons a acre. And I have a pistachio orchard that I've been bringing into production. If I picked that land up and brought it back into the Madera Irrigation District, I could sell it for $40,000 an acre all day long. But no, I'm out where I have great water, and any farmer in Madera would die to have my water situation. Pumping water at just over 100 feet, my groundwater's dropping at 6 inches a year. Look at my yields. But because it's been designated in the white area, I couldn't even sell it for $10,000 an acre. I might not even be able to sell it for $5,000. Do the math on that. Let's just call it $25,000 that designation per acre has cost me on 160 acres. That's $4 million. And seeing as how I only have $17,000 in my savings, I could kind of use those assets. So we have a complete ridiculous implementation of this whole GSA. It makes no sense. I asked Mr. Poitras, I asked Mr. Wheeler, they were both forthright with me. They were unaware of my water situation. They didn't know that my water had only dropped less than 20 feet in 32 years. How, after you've just heard me speak, would you implement something so disastrous and not even know the water situation on every last ranch? Think about that. You are ruining somebody's life efforts, and you don't even know the details of the water underneath the ground that you supposedly are experts on. That is ridiculous. So, all I can propose, I completely disagree with the implementation of the GSA. And I think it's time that we take a good look at what is actually going on and how it can be implemented so that it doesn't destroy farmers. You know, my little farm, when I got the information that I only could pump 28 inches, I canceled my contract to plant tomatoes. It's just a 40-acre field I was going to plant tomatoes on out at my Firebaugh ranch. When I canceled that, the following Monday, I let 5 people go from my payroll because I don't need them there prepping the tomato field. I don't need them this season for weeding in the tomato field. 5 people. I'm a little minnow in a gigantic pond. I let 5 people go. 5 hardworking people that are willing to get up every morning at 5 in the morning and come to my ranch and put a day of work in are without work. Then I called the guys over at Western Ag and told them, you know what? That upgraded filtration system that I need to be able to run the water on the buried drip tape, I don't need it anymore. That was a $20,000 filter upgrade. Canceled. Then I called Jimmy DeSilva over here at Lee's Concrete and said, hey, you know that $3,400 worth of cement that was supposed to come out to be the foundation for the filters? I don't need it anymore. Then I called Ken Perry out at N&S Tractor in Dos Palos and said, you know that $5,000 tractor rental that I needed to shape my beds and put the drip tape in? I don't need it anymore. My son is my PCA. I informed him, you know the $55,000 or $60,000 that I would spend this season on, I'm talking 140-acre tomato field. The $55,000 to $60,000 worth of fertilizer, insecticides, herbicides, fungicides, ain't gonna be spent. I'm a little minnow. You guys are talking about thousands of acres. I'm referring to a 40-acre field. And God willing, I get through the season with that field of tomatoes and it makes $60,000, $80,000. Seeing as how I have $17,000 in my savings, it's pretty obvious where the money goes. Back into the community. Maybe that's why the community of Madera, 80% of the tax revenue that runs this county is from agriculture. And somebody has decided to put a big giant harpoon into the agriculture of this county. It makes no sense. Somebody has not thought about this in any detail whatsoever. You've just heard about a little teeny farmer, and we're talking about a couple $100,000 on one 40-acre field. What do you think is going to happen to this community? Stephanie shared with me that there was going to be a fundamental change to agriculture. Yeah, fundamental change to agriculture. I would call it absolute darkness. If you think implementing this in this manner is going to turn out okay in the long run, you are fooling yourself. This is bringing darkness to this community.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. We were supposed to talk 3 minutes, but I know I wanted to let you
I
finish.
appreciate the extra time, Mr. Wheeler.
I appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time.
Mark Peters, grower, White Area. Thank you, Chairman and the board. I have 3 points I want to make in 3 minutes, so I'll roll fast.
Don't go fast.
Well, you'll get it. So we have an 80-acre property. This is the corner of Avenue 16 and Road 16 where my right finger is. So this 80-acre property, 028180005 is the APN. It is surrounded by irrigated agriculture that is not ours, and we had some serious pump issues this year. I won't go into it, but it was a catastrophe. The pump fell to the bottom of the well. We finally got our irrigation going, and we irrigated for the first time last Monday, May 9th, okay? So I thought, okay, no applied water from the beginning of the year through May 8th. What does IRRIWatch, ETAW, tell me? And I know you can't see this, but it's not that important that you see it. You see that IRRIWatch starts off at 0, and then it starts to grow because there is evapotranspiration. On May 8th, we had 7.2 inches of evapotranspiration of applied water, ETAW, with no applied water. And then very importantly, if you look at that rate of increase, 1 inch every 6.3 days, we would have 28 inches of applied water on September 15th. 28 inches is our allocation of applied water, and we wouldn't have applied a drop. I only bring this up. This is very new information. I have not shared it with the GSA. I apologize for that, but it's only in the last few days when I ran the ETAW. I just want to lend my doubts to the credibility, and it's worrisome. So speaking of that, I know we're working on verifying IRRIWatch versus actual. And I would ask the board and the GSA staff that all of us growers need to know how that verification is coming quickly. I would suggest that by the end of June, halfway through the year, we should have a reasonable picture of whether IRRIWatch is being accurate, I have my doubts, I just shared with you my doubts. If it's accurate or not, I would hope that sometime in July, we would all get a report, the growers most importantly would get a report as to is it proving accurate or not. And I would ask that if it can't be in July, when will it be? I don't want to get a report at the end of December saying, well, here's the report, whether it's good or bad. That doesn't do us any good. It's got to be now. Which leads to my last point. You might say, Mark, why don't you just go out, unscrew your flow meters, send them to a lab, have them verified, put a plug in while it's gone, bring them back, and then continue to monitor. I am not sure it's as simple as that. We have not been provided with the approved process to verify our applied water. And can I just do it that simply? I think people want to come out and observe the installation and verify it. Nor have we been provided, as of today, I know it's close, the approved list of vendors that can come out to our ranches and approve it. And you know what? We're talking about livelihood and we're talking about future penalties, and I know that might be part of the next presentation, but I just wanted to make those points. So thanks for listening.
Thank you, Mark. Anyone else got any on this item? Come on, hop along. You can come down this way, yeah. How'd you hurt your foot?
Surfing.
Oh, geez. In Hawaii?
I've seen Nick in many casts over the years.
Fortunate and unfortunate. But thank you for having me here today and allowing us to speak. I appreciate the difficult job that Stephanie and her staff have. They're put in a very difficult situation. So first, I'd like to give a little bit of credit to them. It's hard to be have that target on your back when you're presenting this kind of information. Actually, I didn't even know the meeting was taking place. I was told.
Can you put your name and stuff in the record?
Oh, yeah. So my name is Nick Biscay. My family, to my knowledge, we're the oldest farming family in Madera County. I've been around here since about 117 years or something like that. There's some other folks that have been farming in other counties before us, but here actually continuously the longest. So we own about 500 acres here in Madera County. Some of it's located west, just right down from the wastewater treatment plant. So we get really great recharge from that. And so, but some of our land is designated in the white area. And so there's an incidence there where it's pretty much fact that we get recharge directly from the city of Madera. We bought the property because of it. Because it when you're farming for that long, you need to know where the water's at. Right. And so that's part of the selection of that particular property over the years. That was like 1993. But so my family's in farming here in Madera, and then I'm also the president and CEO of Stanislaus Farm Supply. We're the only agricultural supply cooperative in California that specifically deals in supply. There's over 4,000 members of that cooperative. We have a 9-member board of directors, which I'm appointed by. I'm also the ex officio chair of the Western Plant Health Association. We're very active in California, Arizona, and Hawaii with regards to legislation and science-based information that we're usually providing to elected officials. And then I'm also currently the chair of the CEO roundtable of all the major cooperatives in the United States. So we meet annually to go over what we control, which is over $150 billion worth of agriculture. Currently the planning chair for the whole roundtable. So, and then I'm also associate member of the American Society of Farm Managers and Rural Appraisers, and just got done with going to some of those meetings, both at the roundtable and then also at the ASFMRA meeting in Visalia in March. So we were presented some information, and hopefully you guys will just be getting some of this information. You may get a lot of information from different sources, but just to provide as much as I can. So bear with me if I'm going over the 3 minutes. So David Orth of, what is it? New Current Water and Land, presented with Scott Hamilton, also who's doing the blueprint. I feel that the blueprint is possible. So if you're not familiar with that, please, review that in more detail. But I took a lot of heat from Madera County because my family's been here for such a long time. So all the farmers like up and down the valley from Sacramento to Bakersfield kind of know that. And so at that meeting, they presented that we had an incomplete application to DWR. And so they had us on this list here with asterisks by it that we're defaulting the entire basin. And so all the farmers get mad at me because I'm a Madera farmer, like it's my fault, and it's not. So I'm just sharing that with you. I go, hey, tell our board of supervisors, don't call me. But anyways, people come to me for all kinds of stuff. So the emerging environmental mission or vision that's coming out here is, 70,000 acres of upland habitat. This is information from, resourceeconomics.net. And then also these presenters themselves, 5,000 acres of new wildlife areas, seasonal wetlands of 7,000 acres, 25,000 acres of new seasonal wetlands, 30,000 acres of floodplains. And this is all productive land that's currently earning under tax assessment revenue for the county. So in the end, we're looking probably at a loss of about $7 billion in revenue. We're looking at 42,000 acres of lost, or 42,000 to 65,000 in lost jobs. We talked about 5. The gentleman had 5. You're going to be talking tens of thousands of people are going to lose their jobs. Retirement of over 1 million acres of productive farmland. I've been contacted by people from outside the United States, across the United States, specifically about this particular topic, because they're concerned about their food security, because they understand that Central Valley provides food on their tables in Sydney, Australia. They have food on their tables all over the world. And so I ask, what is our response to that? What is our response to the need for food? So it's a lot bigger than just what is happening here in Madera County, but we are affecting all the other GSAs in the valley. And from my understanding, I don't know if the plan's been accepted yet. I don't believe it has. So you're implementing something that hasn't even been accepted. So I don't know how you feel about coming back and doing double work, but you may be doing a lot of double work here. And then just from an economic perspective, the tax or the fee or the fine, whatever you'd like to mention, is unbelievable. So, my family's been farming here for a very long time. Because of this, we probably will not be farming here for very much longer. And so for some of you that know me and know my family, it's really hard to say that because we love this community. I love, these are family to me here. There's people here. And so I actually didn't have a plan to speak today, but I thought I should mention some of those things. The groundwater recharge it needs to happen right away, but it's going to take money, and you have to pay farmers to do that. We're going the exact opposite. You're going to cause for them to go into financial distress. In some cases, insolvency proceedings, tons without having that, backing, the financial backing, and then we have to find ways to recharge. They need assistance. They need direct financial assistance to make this happen in a timely fashion where it's going to be quick enough, to actually make a difference by the time the implementation and the guidelines by the state. It's not happening fast enough. The time frames, they're waiting too long. We need to act more quickly, but it's going to take direct funding to those farmers that are actually being taxed to actually make that happen. Being on the east side, it's going to be groundwater. They're going to have to, pump it from the delta on the west side. That's a whole different issue. But for us on the east side, mainly in Madera, it's going to be recharged. So I want to lend that. That'll be my final comment.
Thank you, Nick. I'm going to close the board meeting now, and we'll continue at, we're going to go to the park. 1:30. 1:30. Thank you, everybody. I'm sorry to do that, but we got a thing going. I hope you all walk across the street to that.
We are ready.
We are on.
We are on.
It looks like we're back in session. It is 1:35, 5 minutes late. Doggone it. Anyway, we're going to continue on 6A. Is there any other?
8A.
Huh? Oh, 8A. You're right, 8A. Somebody got to keep me in line. Any other public comment on item 8A? Any response, Stephanie?
Are there any questions from the board?
Any from the board? Nope. What? No, you can't talk from there. You got to come up. Sorry, buddy. Come on up. I'll give you another minute.
Stephanie, I was curious on this. We have there's a time period of protest.
Would you put your name back
Ralph
in
Pitt.
on record? I know it. I just hate to do it, but
Yeah, that's all right. Ralph Pistoresi, again. There's a protest period, and you protest by submitting your APN number and your statement of protest to these increased fees. All right. What does that protest actually accomplish? Number one, that's one question.
Okay.
What does that protest do? The other question is, it says, then there's going to be a vote. And the vote is going to be by how? By individual, by APN, by assessed value of APN, by acreage. How's that going to be done? And the other thing is, I would like a list of everybody that's considered people that can vote in Madera and Chowchilla County. I need the list. Whoever you sent the list to, I'd like the list too. So those are a couple questions I have.
Okay, thank you, Ralph.
Go ahead.
So
Okay, real
let's
quick,
talk.
Anybody else got anything before we start? I'm going to close this hearing, and you got something to say? Okay, come on now. Sorry, Steph.
Hello, my name is Michael Orlando. I'm here on behalf of the homeless in this county, in the city. We want to know what you would like us to do and what the solutions are, because there seems to be a clash. And obviously it's with more, members of the community. It seems like the board is maybe out of step with what's going on. You mean like same as the water situation? You guys are voting on things, you guys are doing things, you're implementing millions of dollars, and it's not going anywhere, and we're losing jobs. And I don't know if you guys are aware of your situation in the river. You guys aware of that situation?
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, right? It doesn't get better when these people lose jobs and they go homeless. It gets worse. I used to be a business owner in this town. Life was fine. I went a little bit sideways, and now I'm homeless with the rest of these people, and we're getting bulldozed. We're getting water released at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's going to cause these people to go against society. It's not going to cause them to join it. And I know that that doesn't help anything. It's not productive for anybody. I would like to know what you want us to do to help this situation, because right now people are just getting pissed off, they're getting upset. And we're getting spread apart for you guys, the city lines, but we're getting crammed together at the end of that road. And there's a lot of people in the same area that should not be in the same area. And they're not getting friendlier. This heat is not getting better, you know what I mean? And we're not offered solutions. We're just told that we're the problem. It sounds like there's a lot of things in the community that need help. We're willing to help. We want to work, but there's no jobs available. We get looked at very differently.
So, sir, you're talking about for the homeless people?
Correct. Like,
Oh,
we're not
okay.
going to solve it by making it illegal.
I didn't realize that, okay.
Yes. It's not going to get solved by making homelessness illegal or by having the police come down and arrest everybody or whatever the plan is. It's not working. I don't want to be homeless. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to live the way that we're living down there. It's very basic and Neanderthal-like, honestly. But it's what people are forced to do when they lose their jobs, when they lose their homes. When, you know what I mean? When these things happen and people are voted out of, the farmers are huge in this community. If they're struggling, imagine what it's like down at the bottom. Okay? We don't have food in Australia. We don't have it here. We're struggling hard. And people start to fight over that food and fight over that money. That creates wars in this area. I'm not here to cause problems with you guys. I'm here to represent those that won't come out of those holes and say, what would you like us to do? What's the solution? What can we do to help to make this better? I mean, you guys get a lot of money funded into it, and that's not mine to judge on what you do with it. But there's a lot of people down there that are resources that are being turned into enemies. And I'm trying to change that for them, for us, for you guys, for everybody. So I just need to know if there's somebody I can contact or what we can do about us helping you help that problem. You know what I mean? Because homelessness is going to exist, period. We can't cure it. Making it us against them thing is also not going to work. Shutting down, you guys are shutting down public restrooms, shutting down water. If you take the water in the restrooms away, these people aren't going to stop using the restroom. They're just going to start coming up with creative places to do it. And that's getting a little out of hand. I'm, for one, willing to clean up the trash. I know you guys just did a $5 million cleanup. There's trash everywhere. They did a trash cleanup and left all the trash. I go around with a rake myself and try to clean up areas. We've been bulldozed everywhere that people have set up. They've been bulldozed down. The water's been released at 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, these are crazy tactics when you could just talk to us and let us know what it is that we need to do to help it. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Michael, what was your last name?
Orlando, O-R-L-A-N-D-O.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other public comment? Okay, we're shutting her down now. Okay, Stephanie.
Okay, so let's review a little bit of how Prop 218 works. We've done the studies that create a rate study that's published at MaderaCountyWater.com. Your board authorized us to do a public notice, then there's at least a 45-day period. And then there are people who can protest at the public hearing, and that's kind of the key. This is a protest vote, it's a majority protest, and then absent a majority protest, your board could vote to adopt the rates by resolution. So that's how that works in terms of voting. Your board is the board that votes, but Prop 218 is extremely protective of ratepayers and taxpayers. So it asks them to protest if they object to the rates first. In terms of a list of people who can protest, I'm going to treat that as a Public Records Act request, so we can get you that list. I think that concludes responses and clarification for your board.
I think you want to know what, my notes here, who is eligible to vote? Is it partial owner?
That's right. It's parcels that are irrigated in the county what people call the county-wide area. It's area that has not been annexed by anyone else and that remains without representation, so the county has stepped up to represent it.
And then when they own 5 parcels, they get 5 votes?
That's right. It is 1 vote per parcel. It does not depend on the size of the parcel.
Does that make sense, Ralph?
Doesn't make sense to me, but
It's the state rules, it's not ours.
1,000 acres and 1 parcel, you get 1 vote.
Right.
So,
Well, there's got to be more, you won't have 1 parcel, 1,000 acres, it's 640 is the limit, so, so you got 2 parcels anyway.
so the rules for Prop 218 are in the California Constitution. They're not made up by this board.
Okay. Any other comments on any of the other speakers? No, from you, I mean.
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you. Then we'll bring it back to the board. It was.
That was just
It's just,
information.
yeah, it's just.
Informational.
Information, right. Okay, let's go move on to 8B. I'll get it right.
Presentation of direction to staff regarding proposed penalties and fees.
All right. I thought we could start with a few observations about penalties. So our goal is to bring in as much water as we can and then to decrease demand. And in order to decrease demand, people are on allocations or water budgets within the county GSA. And staying within the allocation is reinforced when there is a penalty of some sort, meaning if there's no penalty, there's no disincentive or incentive to stay within the allocation. So they need some structure to them. They also need to be fair. We also need to provide some tolerance for determination of what going over the allocation means based on accuracy, both of satellite measurement and of meters. And of course, your board can modify the penalties as needed if the GSP goals aren't being met. So here's the related water code, and there are a number of different options for penalties here. So one option is a not to exceed $500 per acre foot in excess of the amount the person is authorized to extract, so meaning $500 per acre foot over an allocation. Second one is a fee imposed for the extraction, and we talked about this as a fee for replacement water. You pump 1 acre foot over, we're going to have to save that acre foot somewhere else by paying someone not to farm. And then there's a little bit more complicated one of not to exceed $1,000 plus $100 per day after notice. So there's some pretty harsh penalties in the water code itself. And what we'd like to create is a range. Here's a summary of what I just said. There's an option for $500 not to exceed. We could use an ordinance to establish that. A fee for extraction of water itself. You pump an acre foot, we have to save it somewhere else. That would need to go through a Prop 218 process like we're going through for the current rates. And then the penalty of $1,000 plus $100 per day after a notice period is established by ordinance. So you could presumably start with something very basic and get more complicated if you needed to. We don't really want to need to. So here is what scenarios could look like with a successful rate study. And you might be able to do a penalty of $500 an acre foot over the allocation. And we have examples. The Greater Kauai, GSA, and the Eastern Tule have done that. So they've been able to stop here for right now. Then there's potentially a higher stage, which is the $500 over the allocation and replacement water. And then there's essentially the big guns, the establishment of the $1,000 plus $100 per day after the notice period, plus everything else we talked about.
Do those last two require a vote?
So you would need to do an ordinance for 1 and 3, so that would require a vote of your board. For 2, that would be the vote of the
218.
ratepayers as a majority protest.
So 3 doesn't require a 218?
That's right.
Ordinance to be established by ordinance.
Okay.
That's right. So there's a range of penalties, and of course, the replacement water is actually a fee. So people have asked what the penalties could be used for. I want to affirm, we do not want to collect them. We want people to stay under the allocation so that we can meet the state's law. If the penalties were collected and we had a rate structure in place, you could use this money for really SGMA-related purposes. That might include additional domestic well mitigation or accelerating land retirement or purchasing water. So at the moment, what we're doing is some research on various scientific studies about accuracy of measurement and what tolerance we would like to build into a penalty schedule. And then we can come back to your board with the draft ordinance. But that is where we are right now. We're doing a research review of both satellite measurement and meter technology and accuracy to figure out what that tolerance is. So this concludes my presentation. Be happy to take your questions.
Any from the board members? Okay, open up to the public. Come on up, buddy.
I wish I could walk better today. Okay, Ralph Misteresi again. All right. What we have here is a mandate from the state for us to increase and to improve our groundwater situation. But the way that we need to do it is we need to put more surface water on the land to bring up the water table. Initially, before the dams were created, there was natural flood flows, and these flood flows maintained the groundwater level. Since the dam went in, that's changed, and everything went to flood irrigation through the canal system, then later to drip irrigation, which puts less percolation into the ground. But the problem is the state, instead of them coming to you guys and saying, you guys are forced to solve a problem that is not fixable, the state has failed the county in not fixing the water system so that the problem wouldn't exist. The state is responsible for throwing water down the river into the ocean or for some fish program or whatever they've got, and they're not doing the proper allocation of water like they should be responsible for doing. Now, they're irresponsible in what they did. You've got to watch that you're not irresponsible in what you do. Because a lot of these things that they want to impose, I don't know if they're proven in courts of law. Because for 150 years, 200 years, you buy a piece of ground, you use the water that's under the ground. All of a sudden, they change all the laws. You're not eligible to use the water under your ground. Now they want to put up a penalty system where they're telling you how much water you're able to use. You can't grow these crops on that much water. And what do they want to do? They want to profit on your inability to function. So you're saying 28 inches. Let's say 24 inches just to make it easy, 2 feet. Okay. If it takes 3 feet of water to make a crop, or 4 feet of water to make a crop, what Stephanie is saying here is on top of the $246 an acre you want to charge the people for the recharge, whatever it was, you want to charge them between $1,000 and $2,000 an acre just to try to farm land to break even. You know, it doesn't make any sense.
It's crazy.
It doesn't make any sense. So consider wisely what you guys are going to do. And there's a lot of things that can be done, but we need to push back on the state and tell the state, you have been the ones that have failed us. You spend $100 billion on high-speed rail for no good reason at all. All right? Every society in history, the first thing they consider is water for their people. You can go back thousands of years, the water systems that they developed. Our state has fallen behind on all that. And even when the system is in place, they fail to use it properly. So there's just some of the things you need to think about, but the fee is, it's ridiculous.
Thank you, Ralph. You did it on time that time.
Hi, Mark Peters. I signed in earlier, sorry, Board. And my comments will be very brief. Just listening to Ralph, by the way, my editorial comment would be the state has a $70 billion annual surplus this year, and we need some of that money for our water problems. Gosh, if we could spend a portion of that for recharge, wouldn't we be in great shape? But that's editorial.
But, you know, Mark, it's the other day on this new budget, it's 100 billion, not 70.
Oh, I'm behind the times.
Yeah.
And that's annually, by the way. But anyway, that's beyond the scope of this room. I get it. Okay, I'm not really here.
You're definitely right, though.
Yeah, oh, yeah, really. We could fix it immediately. Hey, my only comment was there was, Stephanie, in her presentation, there was no indication of when it would start. All prior conversations about having the penalty start in this calendar year. I think I'm starting to feel that that might be behind us, but I have not heard that said. I would strongly encourage that to be behind us because we don't have an approved, agreed upon, believable method for measuring water, applied water this year. My comments earlier, and I don't know if they came across very clearly, is unless we're careful and if we don't move ahead really quickly, we will also not have one for next year. And when I say time is short, if we want all of our meters certified, it has to be done during the irrigation season, so we have till the end of October, and we have a lot of work to do, or we have to prove out the IRROWatch. We're running out of time. So I just want to say that we've got to keep moving. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Online? Oh, yes, we do. I'm sorry. Leticia.
Go ahead, Leticia.
Awesome. Thank you all. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so this is Leticia. I'm with Leadership Council.
Can you say your last name, please, Leticia?
Of course. Leticia Casillas Luquin. And again, I'm with Leadership Council. So I just wanted to start off by reminding everyone of the ongoing drought that is squeezing water supplies everywhere, and that some farmers continue to extract groundwater at high rates, which is not giving the aquifer enough time to replenish. As you all know, clean water for residents and production depends on a supply of water, but water supplies are increasingly fragile and unreliable because of the overpumping and the effects of climate change. So in a previous GSA meeting, the board said that the only opinions being considered are from farmers because they're the ones paying the bill. However, according to SGMA, disadvantaged communities and surface water users, among others, must be considered. So SGMA was created to prevent more depletion, not to put a Band-Aid on the problem. So this is why we strongly support volumetric rates to avoid disproportionate impact to small sustainable farmers, and penalties and separate replacement water fees to stop the overpumping, because that's the issue here. We would like to continue to see concrete enforcement actions like increased fines or revoking agricultural well permits if penalties continue to be surpassed on their allocations and are repeatedly issued in order to prevent bad actors from using the penalty and the separate replacement fee as a third tier. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other online people? None? Okay. What's the direction, board? You want her to move forward and bring us back these numbers after they do their studies?
I think one of the, I'm sorry, I didn't even address the board chair. I should have plugged in myself there. I wanted to just say that I think that it's important that we consider what Mr. Peters said about this year. You know, we're halfway through the year, the irrigation season is upon us already, and what people do now is going to heavily affect their income come time to pay these potential fees and penalties and what have you. So I think it behooves us to slow that part of it down and to back off of it just a little bit this year, because we need to give people time to adjust. And this is new. Our job is not to be onerous. I think people are trying. I think they're making a huge effort. I hear a lot of my constituents that are calling me saying that they're talking to groups like, what is that, Pyrotech, or it's an Israeli water company that's giving information about water timing, and it actually cuts the watering in half. One of my constituents in our district told me about it, and he was he's using it, and he said it's apparently cut his watering in half. So I think that's a really great thing, that he's accessing that, and that he's putting out the word to others that, hey, this really does work, and it's something we need to consider. We need to give people time to adjust. As I've said before, we need to remind ourselves that, unlike it's kind of been stated by other groups and people, farmers are not the enemy here. They are not the enemy. They're just people like we are, trying to do a job and make a living at it and provide a very, very important service. Farming used to be something that everybody did to survive. When we turned into an industrial society, those that were involved in industry had to shift to other roles while farmers picked up the gap, and we shifted the food production to them. So our society has adjusted. What are we going to do if our ability to grow food on a large scale, like we do now, with the farmers doing the job, what are we going to do about eating? What are we going to do about the basic needs of human survival? It's going to become an individual problem. Even the homeless guy got it, didn't he? I mean, he was like, yeah, people are going to start fighting for food. Yeah, that's exactly right. They are going to start fighting for food. They're going to come out of the cities and be grappling on everybody's land for what scraps there are. I realize that sounds very, what is it, Orwellian? Mm-hmm. Sounds very Orwellian. But I'll tell you, folks, it could be a reality. It could be a reality. We've got to look at that possibility when you consider cutting the kind of production that we're looking at cutting. What are people going to do to eat, and how is that going to come about? I don't think Sacramento's thinking about this. Are you going to make
a motion on this?
No, I was just going to. I don't think. Do we need a motion, or we're just looking for direction, right? We're looking for direction. I'd like to see us back off the idea of a penalty for this year. Maybe a fee for the water might be or don't call it a fee for the water, just call it a penalty up to a certain point for water replacement, whatever that value might be. And then that's something we wouldn't have to do a 215 on.
218.
Or 218, I mean. I'm thinking of 215 water. There's so many two numbers out there that you just lose track of all of them, 215s, 218s. But anyway, that's just my thoughts.
Okay. Supervisor Frazier.
Yeah, I'd like to, I was kind of like that where we don't, until we have like a set of agreed upon measure, I don't want to charge a fee or a penalty on something that might not have actually been taken out, if that makes sense. And then I'd like to see, because it's going to take time to get the farm units to where they're sustainable. So looking at it from like a 5-year, like the and there'd be a way to attach those penalties, but if the next year they're below what it should have been, or by the end of the 5 years, it was balanced for that.
Yes,
They shouldn't
yes.
have to pay any of those penalties because they were able to come in to balance. So that's what I would like to see.
Yeah, averaging. I think that's a great idea, if I could
Supervisor Poitras?
jump on that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach on this thing. You know, we've worked for 6 years or 7 years on this particular project, and so it's not like, you know, we came up with it within the last 9 months.
Right.
And any alteration or any changes is going to alter the current glide path. I'm kind of surprised that we didn't have anything done by 2020. It's been extended to 2022, and now we're talking about even making some further changes, again, that will artificially alter the glide path. Number two, any changes that cause more of an overdraft. There's a number of growers out there who even last year have had to put in new wells. That's going to continue to happen if we push out if we don't have a glide path or let people say, oh, we were just kidding when we said that there might be some fees, because nobody's going to have the incentive to hold back within the allocation. Again, for those growers that have to put in new wells because we're not cutting back on the amount of water that's being pumped, it's going to cost them. Again, number three, we have an established allocation on glide path. If people plan on pumping within the allocation, we don't have to worry about a penalty, or people are not going to be assessed a penalty because they're not going to exceed it, you know. But so nobody should worry about a penalty because they're going to be working within that 28 inches. But probably most importantly, any changes will increase the target on our backs even larger to the state of California. State of California is going to say, oh, you know, Madera, you've submitted this plan, you submitted this draft, and oh, you're going to make changes in it. Okay, well, I guess you need some help from us to go further. And
That ain't gonna happen.
yeah, and last, you know, if we again allow pumping to run unabated without any type of penalty, it's going to make people like me look like a fool. I've taken out a third of the ground on some almonds that we have in the white area, and to comply with Sigma. We're cutting back, I estimated it's just a little blip. It's probably 80 acre feet, but it's 80 acre feet that will not be pumped. But I could have used those trees this year. And what you're saying is that, well, too bad, Rob, too bad, Poitras family. You know, you guys playing by the rules with what we came up with, but you're stupid because we're going to trick you and not go forward. So to me, that would not only be really an in-your-face to all the other growers, but to me personally. So those are my comments.
It's kind of counterproductive, actually.
Right.
Okay. So we need some kind of direction for staff.
I'd like to make a motion.
I'd like to say something.
Letty's not.
Sorry.
Oh, Letty, go ahead.
Put my name on there. Sorry.
Letty.
Stephanie, I know that, you know, and you've said this before, that we don't want to be the leaders in this. We don't want to be the example. So I would like to see what some other counties are proposing. And, you know, I know that every county is different. Our white area is vastly different from Fresno, Tulare. But I would like to see what their numbers look like, how the fees, the penalties. I'd like to see that if possible.
Sure. Madam Clerk of the Board, could you project this slide that I just advanced to? I just wanted to point back to somewhere. So in an ideal world, you have a successful rate study, so you have money for projects that were in the GSPs, and I think that gives you the flexibility to choose the lower rate. The two GSAs that are most similar to us are the Greater Kauai and the Eastern Tule GSA. So those are both south of here. And they have adopted this $500 per acre foot as a penalty. And they've been able to stop there for now. So I think this is our best case scenario, is the top rectangle.
Yeah, I do too.
If the rate study is not successful, though, and you have no penalty, you're going to have to adopt a penalty that is higher, and you're going to have to find a way to recoup that extra water that people are pumping. So then you're into the second rectangle or the last one. But we have been pretty clear that allocations, that we did a test year, a dry run last year, they are in place right now. I agree that the farm units are still, we have people adding things and submitting documentation showing they have the permission to do that. So that is still going on. But I mean, I think you may want to postpone the decision about the penalty until you see the results of the rate study. I mean, if growers are telling you they don't want to pay anything, they may have no incentive to stay within the allocation, and you may have to choose that middle or bottom rectangle.
Yep.
Thank you.
So your recommendation is to wait until after June?
June 21st, you'll have direction from ratepayers on whether they're willing to pay for projects. And if they are willing to pay, we can go with a low penalty. If they're not willing to pay, I think you have to hike it up because there's no financial incentive for them to stay under an
You would
allocation.
recognize us if we gave you that direction?
Will I recognize you?
Yeah, I mean, would you be okay with that? I mean, if we give
That-
that direction on that?
We can wait a month. We're continuing our research review, though.
We're still doing the research because it says you're doing that. So,
I can include that in my motion, Tom.
well, if you want to do it that way.
Yeah, I mean, if you want a motion, or we can just do give her direction. We don't need a motion, do we necessarily?
Well, we don't need one, but we can do a thumbs up.
Because a motion kind of constrains us to that specific action.
Said was a thumbs up, and we've got that covered.
Yeah, I'd like to add a thought to it, though.
Make it quick.
Something we haven't thought of. In the event that the rate study is not approved by the growers, I really feel that we need to have a backup plan in place and be developing that now. Because if we don't have anything on the table, the state will come in and say, you're done, and
This is how you're going to do it.
and we're going to make it happen. So I think we really need that backup plan to begin to be developed in place. And then I really think that Brett's idea about the 5-year averaging is really an important component to the balance. We're in a 5-year plan. If a person complies with that plan the 5th year, we have accomplished exactly what we wanted to accomplish from year 1. It doesn't matter whether it was accomplished in year 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, but it was accomplished in year 5. It's the same accomplishment. You've made it to the finish line one way or another, and that's the goal, is to get to the finish line, not to crush the farming industry. So 5-year averaging, since it's a 5-year plan, makes perfect sense to me. If a person complies with their allocation in year 5, I'm happy for them. That's great.
Also, with that, I mean, the penalty would be levied and attached. They could either pay as they went, or, so it's not like the penalty would go away. I just want to make that clear. Like, it's there, and then if there was work done that brought it underneath what the allocation was, then that could waive off those penalties, just like in code enforcement.
Exactly. The idea is to correct
Supervisor
behavior, not.
Porteous.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Here's the problem with the 5-year averaging. Number one, and I'm thinking about, tracking the penalty. What if somebody sells their land at year 3? And the person that buys that land, are they going to accept whatever the penalty is because they're buying it at a deficit? And how are we going to track that? And number two, we're altering the glide path, like I said earlier. We're taking that glide path and we're saying, here, you've got to pass for 23, 24, even 25. So that means our glide path is not coming down like this, it's staying here.
Right.
And it's going to be taking more money out of, more water out of the basin earlier, causing a domino effect on people who already are at the bottom of their wells, or at the bottom of their water availability, and they're going to be having to put a new well. So it's going to have a negative domino effect in that particular 5-year averaging. It's not going to be even, it's not going to be level. It's going to be
impossible to be.
It's going to be very difficult on a number of levels.
I have a comment on that.
Okay.
Yeah, my thoughts would be that if the penalty is levied against the property and liened, the property is liened for that amount, as it averages out, it's taken off. So you can't sell the property
Well,
with
not
a
really.
lien without it going against that property. They're going to have to pay
Until
that.
you can't even sell that property until that lien is.
Exactly,
taken care of.
exactly. So that, to me, is the incentive for them to do the right thing.
Well,
And-
maybe, but if the farmer knows he's gonna sell it in 3 years, screw it, I'll penalize the shit out of it, and then I'm out of here.
But who's gonna buy it with all those liens against it?
Probably nobody.
You never know.
That's what I'm saying. They're doing themselves damage. If they want to sell that land, they're doing themselves damage against the, it doesn't work that way. I think I think the penalty being a lien against the property is definitely an incentive. I wouldn't want a lien on my property, government.
So let me do some research in terms of legality with county counsel's
Yeah.
office on
Okay,
how
do
that might
and then
work.
bring it back at our very next board meeting, okay?
Well, the one after the
Yeah, that's
6/21.
21st.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I would also like to ask Stephanie to take a look at how it would alter our glide path.
Yeah, we gotta really look at that.
Really look at that, because, I mean, again, it's something we've been working on for a long time with a lot of dollars going into it, and we're talking about changing it by not having a penalty. You know, I mean, I can't even believe it that we're even having this discussion.
I'm not.
You know, yeah.
We're not taking away the penalty.
It's still there.
Yeah.
It's still there, but we're talking about the water and the glide paths.
Right.
We're talking about the
Yeah,
aquifer.
I mean, I'd like to see what that would do to alter the glide path with that model. And if it alters it or keeps it flat, then that's not something I want to go down, but.
I don't
What if we
know
bring
how we
for-
would model that, right? Because some people may follow the rules and stay under because they want to roll that water over, depending on if they had a young crop, for example. So you may get people under, but then you're also going to get people who are way over. And so I think really what that would depend on is what the crop mix is and the age of everything.
Well, and one other thing too, we're already 2 years behind, because if you look at our model, it talks about 2% reduction starting in 2020. We've got 2% reductions or whatever it is starting in 2022. So we're already 2 years behind
Right.
when we're looking at that, so.
In the previous meeting, I think we were told we were way too far ahead.
Right. Well, I'm just talking about when we show the charts.
Yes.
We keep showing 2020, and I don't even know why we show 2020, because we're not in compliance with what we talked about originally. Thank
Okay.
you.
We're moving on.
So she has direction.
She's got directions, right?
I do. And one more item, unfortunately.
8C.
Okay, well, in the packet, I'm sorry, Stephanie and Agneson, Director of Water and Natural Resources. This is our item on well permitting. So your board is probably familiar with Executive Order 9-7-22. During droughts, governors tend to have things that they want to have done right away, and they write executive orders about them. This happened in the last drought as well. So what this does in the executive order item 9 is it has GSAs doing a verification that the well that is either new or rehabbed will not interfere with GSP progress. So we have a pretty simple 3-step formula, which we have in a resolution for adoption today if it meets with your approval. So our first check is, are you in the right GSA? You've sent us the right form at the right time. Do you have an allocation, right? If you have an allocation, it means you're irrigated agriculture, that we know about that demand. It's been encompassed within the GSPs. And then the third thing is, are you registered with IRWatch? And we've registered everybody automatically, but we want to make sure they're signed up so that they can monitor it on their own. So that's how we suggest dealing with the county GSA verification form, which is 9A. 9B is not a discussion for today, but environmental health is in charge of that item. So that's our simple process. Are you in the county GSA? Do you have an allocation? And are you tracked with satellite measurement?
Okay. Any discussion on this one?
Yeah, I can't punch up on the deal here. It's not working.
Oh, it's not working?
You used all of your ring-ins today.
Yeah, you're done. Next.
Yeah, my question would be, so a person wants to get a well, put in a new well on land that didn't have a well before, and they're entitled to half-acre foot per acre of sustainable yield, am I correct?
Okay, so if you're talking about putting in a well on land that is never irrigated, has not been irrigated before, the way this is written, you would not receive a verification from the GSA. That is additional demand that was not encompassed within the GSP.
So that it doesn't include any sustainable yield?
They can access sustainable yield. They have that right. They need to go through a process with the GSA in November of each year. But that is unanticipated demand if it is never irrigated. That would not result in verification letters at this time. They'd have to go through that process.
So it essentially would be a moratorium on any new well where there were no wells previously.
Within the county GSA, if the land is never irrigated, this process would not verify a new well on that land, yes. I don't know that I would call that a moratorium. The executive order is meant to be fixed for a time and a place.
And it doesn't go on forever and ever.
That's right. And in fact, in a webinar with DWR, they were telling GSAs, you couldn't approve this now necessarily, but you could when the executive order is lifted.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Any public comment? Come on up, Mr. Ralph. Yep.
Yeah.
Do you see how the state is dictating to you through mandate exactly how you're supposed to march?
Yep.
You see what they're doing? So here's my question. We're being told, if you don't do this and if you don't do that, the state's going to come in. All right? Okay. What is the state going to do? Do you know what they're going to do? Or do you think you know what they're going to do? Have they told you what they're going to do? Are they capable of doing it? I drive down the 90 and I go back and forth to Delano thing. And you know what? We farmers have to provide toilets and shade and rest facilities for all of our workers. Do you think the state of California can keep 2 rest areas open on the 99? No. They can't do it. They want us to do stuff, but they can't do it. Now, what is the state going to do if you don't hit everything that they say that you're supposed to do? And every county that submitted one of these GSAs, most of them, I think only 2 counties in the whole state passed. All right? Everybody failed. What are they going to do? Have they told you what they're going to do? Did they say they're going to cut off money to the counties?
That's the first thing they'll do.
No, how do you know they'll do it? Did they tell you they were going to do it?
They've threatened us many times on that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And what are they going to cut off exactly? And how much are they going to cut off? Because you know what? Sometimes if you knew what they were going to cut off, you know how to make the right decision. They're just making a blatant threat to you. So, you know, you can't operate in fear like this. It's ridiculous. You know, we're supposed to be they work for us. They're our servants, not we their servants. So you better think about all these things, but I think it's very important to know, what are they going to do? Who's made the threat to you to do it? What department? And what are they going to do? And before you make decisions to genocide yourself over here, you should know. You should know.
Any other public comment? Okay, what's your pleasure, board?
Quick comment on my end. I just wanted to note that domestic wells are exempt in the resolution.
Right.
Okay, sorry.
Well, this is staff recommendation, and it's been reviewed by our legal staff, and if this is the best option, I move for approval.
Does this include the indemnity?
Yeah, it does. It's got that right here.
So this is just for 9A. The indemnification language was under 9B.
Right. 9C on their paperwork.
Sorry, Executive Order 9722, 9B
Right, exactly.
includes indemnification language. This is really just about the GSA process. Are you in the GSA? Do you have an allocation? Are you tracked with satellite measurement?
And this would include, since the county is the issuing agency for all well permits, this would include Chowchilla and Madera, does not?
No, this is just 9A. You are the Board of Directors in this role, not the Board of Supervisors.
Oh, okay.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we got a second. Any more discussion?
Chair, County Council Regina Garza, thank you. I heard the question being asked, but I don't know if we answered it clearly, or maybe it is clear, but you're being asked to adopt a resolution that delegates authority to your Director of Water and Natural Resources to execute the executive order on each permit, which would mean issuing Exhibit A, which is the verification form, as the GSA. It does not include the indemnification waiver, which is the second part, which is 9B of the executive order. That's environmental health, and so it's not what you are being asked.
That's going to come back at another time, or?
That's, I don't know.
So, and without this, under the executive order, we couldn't even issue
can't issue a
permits
well.
for
No.
wells? Okay.
Absolutely not.
I just want that to be clear for everybody.
Real clear, yeah.
We need a resolution that adopts a process for the county GSA.
Okay.
Okay, roll call.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Chairman Wheeler?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, Stephanie.
good job. Item 9.
Discussion and consideration to authorize a letter of support of Assembly
Move
Member.
to approve.
I'll second.
Second, any discussion? Seeing none, any public comment? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Gonzalez?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Chairman Wheeler?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Okay, supervisors and staff reports. Item 10, Dave.
Yes, I have CTC tomorrow, MCTC, I guess, Transportation Commission, and then we have a debate tonight at the Farm Bureau. So come out and enjoy a little bit of political frivolity. Then
Say comedy.
yeah, it could be. It could be comedy. We need some comedy relief, really, after all this. And then I have the RHA this week as well.
Brett.
Had the Yards special meeting yesterday. Tomorrow, the CTC Commissioners Tour. I'm going to be able to be on their bus and give them background on what's going on in Madera. thanks to Leanne. EDC, MCTC, Flatlanders Parade is this weekend. SJJPA board meeting on the 20th. My coffee and conversation is going to be on the 25th, not the 18th. And then just reminding everybody about the 9/11 Memorial Beam on 5/28.
I forgot to mention Chowchilla Spring Festival Parade Saturday.
Letty.
I'll be heading out to Sacramento. I have a meeting with Senator Caballero tomorrow morning, so I will be relaying a lot of this information over to her, and I'll be attending my water seminars.
That big certificate you got. Mr. Rob.
Yes, last week was the San Joaquin Valley Regional Policy Conference, and I had a chance to participate on a panel with Leanne Eager, who's the chairperson of the CTC this year, and I thought we had a really good 1-2 punch in regards to the importance of finishing 99. Then tomorrow night, actually, there's going to be a reception in her honor at, I guess it's a Smith Camp House. So in regards to that. And then on Thursday afternoon, we will continue on with our Measure T steering committee. We're moving along, making progress, and so we'll
Kudos to that committee. You're making a lot of progress.
Right.
I can see it everywhere, Facebook. It's great. It's good.
Working, so
Yeah.
that's other things, but those are some of the big targets.
That's the main things, right?
Mhm.
Okay, we had the Yards meeting yesterday. Thank you, Brett. Your comments and stuff. We're in the kind of dire straits there too, so anyway, then let's see, Thursday night, Friday night, and Sunday afternoon, Bobby McCauley and I helped sponsor the Shrek play up at the Golden Chain Theater, and what a play it is. If you haven't ever been up to that, any of their plays, you guys ought to take a ride up there some Friday, Saturday, or Sunday afternoons at 2. We got some great actresses and kids and stuff up there that do a great job. And then last night and tonight again, the regional mountain area spelling bee from kindergarten to the 8th grade, and they asked me to be judge of that, so I did it last night from kindergarten to the 4th grade, and then tonight we do the 5th to the 8th grade. And those kids, I think some of the kindergartners can spell better than Tom Wheeler can, so it's pretty interesting. So anyway, Joe.
Nothing to report, Mr. Chairman.
No report, Chair, thank you.
Nothing to report, thank you.
Well, folks, we're going to adjourn and go right in a couple minutes and do our agenda for the next week. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.